we are almost there. We've got the logic to save to our database. We basically have the DAO, the business logic, everything in place. Now let's just basically connect the dots in order for us to intercept the post request with the payload that comes from the client. So let's open up IntelliJ and let's open up customer controller. And in here, what we need to do is the following. So we need to say public void register customer. And here we want to accept a customer registration request. So the class that we've just created in the previous video. And now we can basically invoke the customer service. So let's just say customer service dot and then add and then customer and then pass the request. So you can see that this is trivial. Now we need to annotate this with at and then post mapping. Remember, post, and we have to pass the URL in here, right? Now what I'm going to do is the following. So I want to, you can see there's some duplication here. So API v1 customers, API v1 customers, and I would also need API v1 customers. Now let's in here inside of customer controller, let's say at and then request mapping. And here we can pass API v1 customers, which means that we can get rid of this and just leave it as get mapping. We can also get rid of this duplication in here and just leave it as customer ID. And finally, with the registered customer, we can actually get rid of this because at the top, as you saw, we have the root path. So let's just get rid of this in here and voila. So one last thing that we have to do, and that is when the client sends the request, they have to include a JSON object in the request body. So in order for us to map the contents within the request body to this record in here, we can say at and then request and then body. There we go. And I'll show you this in a second, what it means when we test that everything is wired up correctly. And to be honest, this is pretty much it. Next, let's go ahead and test that everything does work.